What's up, everybody? It's your friendly neighborhood gamer, your host, Coach Key, with Legends and Dice Cafe, where we learn about tabletop RPGs together, from old school to modern, back with another video. In today's video, we will be reviewing Basic Fantasy Role-Playing Game 3rd Edition. Now, there is a 4th edition out already, but today we'll be reviewing the 3rd edition. Let's get it. So, quick disclaimer. I've been playing tabletop RPGs for, honestly, less than a year. Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition has been my gateway drug into the tabletop RPG world, and it honestly has been a fantastic and an amazing journey so far. That's why I ended up creating this channel, so I can share my journey with you guys. Hopefully be able to provide new players and new dungeon masters some quick tips. So let's go ahead and open it up and get to it. Alrighty, so let's get into it. Basic Fantasy 3rd edition. Like I said, 4th edition is available on the website at basicfantasy.org for free. It also has tons and tons of great information on there. It gives you an explanation of what basic fantasy actually is. There's a lot of adventures and campaigns. And so far, all of the OSR games that I've looked into so far all have the PDF for free, which I think is fantastic. You can get started learning and playing for absolutely free. And you can't beat that. And I know from experience that this hobby can be quite expensive. So it is honestly a breath of fresh air to see so many different games provide access to their materials for free so you can enjoy, have fun, be creative, and game. Honestly, kind of speaks for how they feel about their customers, their consumers, to be honest. Before I start, let me add that so far, being known to the tabletop RPG community, the community has been very warm and very welcoming. Of course, you're gonna meet good and bad people in all areas of life, but I've had more good experiences than bad experiences. For instance, someone I play with printed this off for me, which was super cool. This is my very first miniature, so it is a very big deal. I created it on Hero Forge. I asked him how much he would charge to print it out for me, and he said he would gladly do it for free. I was very appreciative of it. I thought it was extremely super sweet, and I love this little thing. And of course, I had to get my name on the bottom of it, but I love it. I even put it in a special case, my dice case, so when I go to play Dungeons and Dragons in person, I don't mess it up or break it or anything when I'm trying to put it in my pocket. So yeah, I think this is super cool. All right, so let's get into it. Not to get off the subject, but after learning about DnD 5th edition, I was very much so intrigued with the history of it. I ended up grabbing a book that has a detailed all the way from the very beginning of D&D all the way to 5th edition. I've had the hardest time trying to get my hands on older editions of D&D, which I would absolutely love to read. But in the meantime, in between time, I was able to discover the OSR and have completely fell in love. I'm not sure. I have some D&D 5th edition books, but I'm not sure if I'm going to buy any more beyond that after being introduced to the OSR. Now, I'm not going to go into detail. I'm just going to show you a few things that kind of stood out to me. Such a very light rule system. And right here, here's the introduction. Here goes your part 1. What is this? Basic Fantasy Role-Playing Games is a rules-light game system based on the D20 SRD 3.5, but heavily rewritten with inspiration from early role-playing game systems. It is intended for those who are fans of old-school game mechanics. Basic Fantasy RPG is simple enough for children in perhaps 2nd or 3rd grade to play, yet still enough depth for adults as well. All of the role-playing game, all of the TTRPG games that I've played or looked into thus far always give you an intro into what role-playing game is, assuming that you come in with no knowledge whatsoever, which I think is fantastic as well. Of course, it has all the information over here, what it is that you would need to play. My favorite, dice. I have collected so much dice since I have started playing. I honestly never realized how much I enjoy dice. And we go to part 2, player characters. Roll a 3d6 for each ability score as described in the character abilities section. And there go your basic ability scores, at least what I'm familiar with. Strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, and charisma. Now, this part is pretty new to me. So you choose a race and a class for your character. Your character must meet the prime minimum for a class as described in the character classes section in order to be a member of that actual class. Also, as far as magic users, you are to ask your game master what spell or spells your character knows. It's up to the game master to decide this, but he or she may allow you to choose one or more spells yourself. Now, this part kind of puts things. Now, this is only from my experience, but D&D 5th edition seems to work in the favor of the player. And so far, the OSR games that I've looked into seem to work in the favor of both the player as well as the dungeon master or the game master. I like this right here. Of course, rolling for your starting money. Generally, your character will start with 3d6 times 10 gold pieces. I like that. Ask the game master before rolling. I also like the fact that you purchase your own equipment as opposed to having to go with the equipment that's assigned to your particular class or your background. Now here we come to your races. Now you get 4 races. You have dwarves, elves, halflings, and humans. And like I was saying earlier, my introduction to the OSR was Karen. And on here, it is a classless system. And again, if you want a quick review on Karen, make sure you check out my video uploaded onto my channel. Now, like I say, this was a classless system, which I was super cool with. I love the simplicity and how easy it was to create your character. Now, the white box took it to the next level and actually has a few classes inside of here, right? Now, Basic Fantasy introduces the idea of combination classes. It says elves are the only characters eligible for to be a member of one of these combination classes. So you could be a fighter / magic user or magic user / thief, which I love. Because again, like I was saying, in the Adventure League, one of my favorite characters to play is a rogue with a subclass Arcane Trickster. So I love the ability to do both. So I like this. I like this a lot. And here's everything, all the experience points that you're needed to move to the next level for each class. And of course, here goes your equipment. And of course, I always love the artwork in these books. So again, we're not going to go into detail. You see, you've got your equipment, your weapons, armor, shields, beast of burden. And you also have an explanation of your equipment. And then you have your vehicles. Now we're going to get into part 3, which is the spells. It does have a larger list of spells than Karen, but still not an abundant amount like D&D 5th edition has. When I first saw the spells in D&D 5th edition, I was like, what the... It is such an abundance of spells, which is awesome in one sense, but in another sense, it can seem or feel overwhelming. But then here goes your cleric. Cleric is one of my favorites to play. Again, cleric is what I'm currently playing in the campaign, the first campaign that I found. Then it explains each of the individual spells, what they do, what their range is, and so on and so on. Now, I absolutely love the limit of these spells. We've got quite a bit of spells. It goes all the way from page 17 to page 35. So you've got a lot to work with. Next up, we have part 4. See, look, we're already at part 4. The OSR books that I have found so far is the simplicity, okay? Leaves room for so much creativity. You're not boggled down by rules, constantly flipping through the rules. It leaves room for you to actually have fun. So, like I said, part 4, the adventure. And of course, this is like your movement, light, doors, traps, secret doors, and so on. We won't go into too much detail. You have the wilderness adventures as well. And this is what I thought was really cool. Retainers, specialists, and mercenaries. It says player characters will sometimes want or need to hire NPCs, non-player characters, to work for them. There are several categories of NPCs available for hire as follows. And then it goes into detail about information about each specific category, which I thought was pretty cool when I saw it. This is my first time seeing something like this. And then your character advancement, experience points. Experience points are given for monsters defeated and for other challenges as game master sees fit, which again, I love. I don't want to be rewarded as a player. I don't want to be rewarded for just killing monsters. I want to be rewarded for being able to use my stealth, being able to use my creativity, being able to use my charisma, just being able to use critical thinking, more than just fighting in combat, role-playing, exploration, adventure, finding treasure. Those are also things that I love about the game besides combat. I enjoy combat, but I absolutely enjoy role-playing. I love the adventure. I love finding things. My very first session I had maybe about a week ago, I planned out some monsters for the characters to attack the characters. Then one of the players decided to use a spell to charm them into backing down, which I thought was super cool. That would have been a perfect opportunity for me to reward experience points for them thinking outside of the box. And honestly, this is my first time DMing, and I'm going to do a video on it, but it is a fantastic experience. I'm a very creative person. This fits. Game Master, Dungeon Master, Referee definitely fits me. And I'll definitely give you guys an update and provide a video for new Game Masters, tips and tricks that I've been using along the way. There's no perfect way of doing things. You find what fits you, and then you go from there. All right, next up we have the encounter, which I'm sure that you know what that is. Order of play, your surprise, monster reactions, initiative. Each round, 1d6 is rolled for initiative for each character or monster. The roll is adjusted by the character's dexterity bonus. High numbers act first. Any characters, monsters with equal numbers act simultaneously. The GM may make single rolls for groups of identical monster or his or her own option. And then of course you got your combat, running, climbing, diving, etc. So this is pretty much your rules. And let me tell you, your rules literally go from page 43 all the way to 53. So you've got about 10 pages worth of rules. And I've actually taken the time out to read through these rules, and they are super simple, okay? Super simple. And then here goes your damage. As explained elsewhere, a creature or character reduced to 0 hit points is dead, but subduing damage. Attacks made with a flat of the blade or for non-lethal damage are made for -4 attack penalty and do half damage. Most weapons can be used this way. Only those with penetration or slashing features on all sides cannot. If a character is reduced to 0 hit points who has taken at least some subduing damage, the character becomes unconscious rather than dying. Then you got Brawling, which I thought was pretty cool. Sometimes a character will attack without a weapon, striking with a fist or foot. This is called Brawling. And then you've got Wrestling. I thought this was cool. Oil. A flask of oil can be used as a grenade-like missile. The oil must be set afire in order to inflict damage. Now we've got Healing and Rest. Now with D&D, it's very easy to recover your hit points, okay? Right here it says characters recover 1 hit point of damage every day, provided that normal sleep is possible. Characters who choose full bed rest regain an additional hit point each evening. Like I was saying, I feel like in D&D 5th edition, which I'm cool with, I'm not complaining about, I think it's cool, but I like this as well. In D&D 5th edition, it feels like the characters, you can make your character completely superhuman, which again is cool, but when it comes to exploring in combat, but when it comes to playing, you're more than likely, you don't have to necessarily think too much outside of the box to succeed on a mission. But with basic fantasy, you absolutely do. And you clearly, with how the hit points work, you're not just gonna run up to every monster and attack. Okay, you're gonna naturally want to think outside of the box, or you're gonna die. And then here we go, part 6, the monsters. And this is pretty self-explanatory. It just gives you information about the monsters, its armor class, how the armor class works, how the hit die works, and so on and so on. And then of course you get into your monster descriptions. And your monster descriptions literally go from page 56 all the way to page 128. So honestly, the majority of their book is monster descriptions. Then next up, you have your treasure, which again is self-explanatory. You've got distribution of treasure, random treasure generation, place treasures, adjusting treasure awards, just a lot of information when it comes to your treasure. Magic weapons, potions, scrolls, rings, and then you get your explanation of magic items. And next up, honestly, we are at the last section. When I tell you this is a light rule system, but it definitely comes with plenty information for you to make a beautiful game and a fantastic adventure for yourself and for your adventurers. Next up is part 8, Game Master Information. And it gives you information on how to create dungeon encounters. You have tables where you can roll for them. Wilderness encounters as well. You can roll for them as well. And this part stood out. The GM is encouraged to create his or her own encounter tables for each city, town, or village. Created or signed encounters by other means if desired. Like I said, with the OSR games that I found so far, it pushes you to be creative. It pushes you to think outside the box. It pushes you to use more skills than brute force or throwing out a bunch of spells. And creating an NPC party. The party may be rivals with the player characters, vying for the same treasures, or they may actually be enemies, evil, that the player characters must defeat. It is, of course, possible that the NPC adventurers are allied of otherwise friendly with the player characters, but this may make things too easy for the players. I love basic fantasy. I honestly cannot wait to run this. And let me tell you, And when I first started playing D&D 5th edition, I got a couple of invites to try out a D&D. And honestly, I regret turning them down. I was so big on D&D 5th edition, D&D 5th edition, and not wanting to branch out or learn anything else. And when I get the opportunity to play these AD&D, these old school games, I will absolutely jump on them. Of course, it comes with optional rules. Look at these. I think this art is so cool. And then on top of that, it even has a section creating a dungeon adventure, as well as designing a wilderness adventure. And I paid, honestly, under $10 for this book because I like physical books as opposed to PDFs. But for under 10, I bought this and an adventure. The adventure was about $5. So honestly, altogether, I paid $12 for a complete rule system as well as an adventure to take my players on. And that's pretty much it. This is something I wanted to read on the back. It says, this is a new game with rules-like mechanics designed for the kind of gameplay popular in the early days of role-playing games. The look and feel is classic from the races, classes, spells, monsters, and magic items included down to the very typeface and layout chosen. It says this is an old school game. Modern game systems are heavy, which I would agree, both in terms of sheer weight of the books as well the amount players and game masters must learn to play. I absolutely agree. Here in this one volume are the rules needed to create and run adventures the old-fashioned way, and that's basically it. In one of these videos, I will go through a character creation to show you how easy it is to create a character, and I'll also show you the tools that I'm going to use to run this solo. First off, I love that the PDF is free online. Not only is it free, but on the website, you have access to so many different adventures for free and so many other information on there for free. The rules are very light and easy to learn. Character creation is super easy and super simple. You get a complete rule system to get you running and playing. So it's pretty much your player's handbook, your dungeon master guide, and your monster manual, all contained within about 163 pages. And that's not bad at all. I would absolutely recommend Basic Fantasy. I have not ran this, but I definitely will be running it solo until I can find a group to play with. I'm currently running my first D&D 5th edition campaign, but after this, Basic Fantasy is definitely on my top list to run next, along with Karen, which I absolutely love, and Whitebox, which I'm also a fan of. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel because I will be running Basic Fantasy solo live. Also, I've done a quick review on Karen and Whitebox on my channel, Legends of Dice Cafe. So when you get a chance, come on down and check it out. Be sure to hit that like button. Definitely helps a channel like mine out continue to grow. Comment and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on your notifications so you never miss out on any of the content that I drop weekly, Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for taking the time out to watch, and as always, I hope you guys have a fantastic day.